Welcome to Just the Discs. My name is Brian. We talk about Blu-rays here, and I've got the old new disc box out, so I'm going to do a short collection update for you guys. Let's get started. We have The Final Countdown 4K from Blue Underground. This movie from 1980, and it's a really solid little Twilight Zone of a movie. You know, the basic idea is that there is an aircraft carrier headed up by Kirk Douglas, who has a civilian from the Defense Department, played by Martin Sheen, visiting them. And then suddenly they run into a weird storm and find themselves transported through time back to December 7th, 1941, with a full aircraft carrier full of modern helicopters and F-14s, etc. And they have to decide how to navigate that. And it's a really interesting movie to kind of see what they choose to do and how they handle the idea of just this ship being caught in the past, and, you know, will they mess up the future if they change anything? And so, yeah, it's an interesting movie, and I'd seen it, but I've never seen it look this good. This is another great 4K Ultra HD disc from Blue Underground. They are on an incredible streak of fantastic looking transfers. This just looks really wonderful. And it's a really solid package. You have your nice slipcase with the lenticular cover, as you can see. This is the alternate flipped artwork on the inside. We've got a little booklet. And then you have a soundtrack CD, you have your 4K Ultra HD disc, and you also have a Blu-ray disc. The music, as you can see, is composed by John Scott, so that is a really full package from Blue Underground. And there's what it looks like on the back, and it carries some extras. I think these might have been part of the original Blu-ray that they put out of The Final Countdown. Audio commentary by director of photography Victor J. Kemper, which is fascinating stuff. Kemper has been around, or had been around, a long time, and had shot a ton of interesting films, and so his perspectives on the movie are invaluable and interesting, and I'm totally into that track. You also have Lloyd Kaufman Goes Hollywood, which is about a 14-minute interview with the great Lloyd Kaufman of Troma, and he weirdly had an associate producer / unit production manager credit on this movie, and has lots of great stories about it, including some stories about him not being a fan of the director. The director was a bit of a drunk, in his words, and he talks about Kirk Douglas and stuff he learned from Kirk Douglas, and some not as nice things that Kirk Douglas said about him. And so it's an entertaining, look behind. Apparently there was a time when Troma was just in its infancy, and they put out an ad, maybe in Variety, that was just like, hire Lloyd Kaufman for your productions. And somebody took him up on it. And so he ended up working on this movie, and apparently it was a good overall educational experience for him. So that's a cool interview. And then we have, starring the Jolly Rogers, interview with the Jolly Rogers, the F-14 squadron that they use in this movie. And that's also cool. It is neat to see the sort of the display of the F-14s. I got to know F-14s like a lot of people in 1986 through Top Gun, but this film actually features the F-14s very prominently, and it's, of course, 6 years prior to Top Gun. So you get a very good look at them and what they can do, and it's very interesting to see them squaring off against Japanese Zeros, etc. But yeah, a really solid and well put together 4K. It says a 4K 16-bit scan from the original 35mm camera negative with Dolby Vision HDR and Dolby Atmos audio. So this is, a great disc for your home theater, for sure. So that is The Final Countdown, the latest 4K from Blue Underground. Next up, we have Trackdown from 78, excuse me. And this one is pretty gnarly in some ways. It is a co-production of Kino and Scorpion. It is a Region A lock disc. Comes in a nice slipcase, and I have the alternate artwork there. It is basically about a guy from Montana, played by Jim Mitchum, whose younger sister, played by Karen Lamb, runs away to Los Angeles and immediately runs afoul of some bad folks, sort of led by Eric Estrada, although he's like a street guy who, has a debt to pay and sets her up to have all her stuff stolen, and then sort of feels bad about it and tries to take care of her, but ultimately ends up losing track of her when the street gang grabs her and tries to sell her into sex trafficking. And Jim Mitchum comes to town, and he gets no help from the cops, and so he's just sort of wandering around town, doing his thing, kind of getting a little violent himself. And he eventually runs into Kathy Lee Crosby, who runs Crisis House, where they deal with a lot of runaways, and they sort of become involved, and she helps him further track down the sister. And then, he and Eric Estrada sort of team up against this big guy who ended up getting the sister. And I don't want to go into what happens, but it gets intense, and it's like the action exploitation version of hardcore, kind of, except there's no pornography. It's more call girl stuff. But Jim Mitchum's really solid in it, and I like he and Eric Estrada together, and it's just a solid exploitation gem from that period. So it's it also has Ann Archer in it and Jim Calhoun, and very enjoyable stuff from Scorpion and Kino. That's Track Down. Next up, we have one from a Vinegar Syndrome partner label, that being Utopia. This is Minor Premise. This is a new movie, and I want to say it's from 2020. This is the slipcase, which I kind of like. And then the inside has, of course, the alternate artwork like that. And this movie is really interesting. It would be, I would say, and I've heard this said about it, but I'd put it in the category of a primer kind of movie. Just a lower budget, do-it-yourself scientist kind of guy kind of stuff. And in this case, we're dealing with a guy who's working on a unit that will allow your memories to be recorded. And his experimentation that he's doing may or may not adversely affect him, and maybe he might have some problems. And I don't want to go too far into it because it really is a fun one to watch and to follow, and it has a great sort of thriller side to it. And apparently was co-written by a neuroscientist, so there's some real-ish science maybe involved in some of the processes here. But it has Dance Party, which I believe is a short film. Meet the Sections 1 through 9, a director's commentary. Oh, there's the short film right there. Dance Party might be a music video. I'm excited to check out the director commentary, director Eric Schultz, and hear what he has to say about the film and how it was made. But it's a new movie, and I do recommend checking out the partner labels over at Vinegar Syndrome. Look up Utopia, and look up, they have a couple other films. They have some documentaries, and they have some interesting stuff happening from that particular partner label. So I was really impressed with this one. This one's definitely worth your time. And if you're into new science fiction-y kind of stuff, done on a budget, but pretty well put together, Minor Premise is solid. Speaking of those sort of partner labels, this is from Music Box Selects, I guess. This is another partner label that you can find over at Vinegar Syndrome under the partner labels tab. This is a Finnish comedy. It's from Finland, so it's subtitled, but it's about a heavy metal band, hardcore metal band, played by the gentleman you see here. and they're a very quirky bunch. One of them works at a reindeer slaughterhouse, and that's where they practice, in the basement of said slaughterhouse. And they are trying to get into a festival to play their music, but they've never performed before. They've just been practicing for years. But it's a fun little quirky, culty kind of comedy with some very silly stuff that happens and some very sweet stuff. Ultimately, a pretty warm film at the end of the day, and one that I enjoyed. Okay, next up we have one from Kino. This is a Douglas Sirk collection double feature with 2 Sirk films I've never heard of, 2 New Shores, and La Habanera. And it says Douglas Sirk would become synonymous in the 1950s American melodrama, but he was already refining the genre while working in Germany in the 1930s. This disc collects 2 of these rarely seen innovative films, both showcasing the talents of Swedish-born superstar Zara Lender. To New Shores stars Lender as a woman sentenced to an Australian penal colony for a crime committed by her former lover. She eventually marries a farmer and returns to the cabaret stage, but remains tragically fixated on the man who broke her heart. In La Habanera, Leander plays Astrid, a Swedish woman who marries a Puerto Rican land baron. As years pass, their love fades, and Astrid's passions are reawakened by a doctor who has come to fight a devastating epidemic, igniting the fury of her jealous husband. While she bore certain resemblances to Greta Garbo and Marlene Dietrich, with her sultry insouciance, defiance of authority, and her deep singing voice, Zara Leander was in fact a striking original and has largely been overlooked by American audiences because of the inaccessibility of her films. So I guess these are 2 rarer ones that, like I said, I've never heard of. They're German films. And so for Sirk fans, if you're looking for some obscure stuff from him, it seems like this is a good double bill to dive into. And it's Region A locked. Does not appear to have too much. Oh, it has some commentaries. You have a commentary by Josh Nelson and a commentary by Olaf Moeller on those 2. So that's a nice Sirk double bill. And then lastly, I have a couple DVDs, not on Blu-ray that I'm aware of. These are like stuff I was looking for on Disney Plus, but ultimately couldn't find. I will start with Under Wraps, which I haven't had a chance to watch these yet. I just heard that this was fun. This is a Disney Channel original movie, apparently, about some kids and a mummy, and it looks to me like sort of Monster Squad-ish. It says 3 12-year-old friends, Marshall, Gilbert, and Amy, find a 3,000-year-old mummy unearthed in the 20th century and accidentally set him free. The kids discover they must return their new friend to his resting place before midnight on Halloween, or he will turn into dust and lose his immortal soul. So that sounds like fun kids Halloween mummy stuff. And like I said, no Blu-ray, and I don't think it's on Disney Plus at this time. So I am excited to check out Under Wraps, see if maybe my daughter will dig it. And then Tower of Terror, which stars Steve Guttenberg and Kirsten Dunst. This one from, I want to say like 99 or something like that. I can't find the date on here. But it's an older one, and one that I also missed just on DVD coming out. It's big screen star Steve Guttenberg and Kirsten Dunst encounter a host of haunts in this delightfully spooky mystery. Buzzy Crocker. Gutenberg is a hard-luck photojournalist whose unexpected encounter with an old woman leads him to investigate an unexplained, decades-old disappearance. It seems that one Halloween night many years ago, 5 partygoers vanished in the elevator of the Hollywood Tower Hotel. Ever since, their ghosts have remained trapped inside the dilapidated old building. In an action-filled story that delivers creepy fun for everyone, Buzzy ultimately learns his niece, Dunst, teams with his niece, Dunst, to solve the mystery. So that sounds like fun. I don't know, probably cheesy, but again, another one. I got these kind of for my daughter as something to show to her that she might dig, and we'll see. But again, I was looking for stuff that wasn't on Blu-ray, and those were a couple that I came up with. But that is all I've got for this collection update. Hopefully there's some interesting stuff in here. Like I said, definitely check out Blue Underground and their 4Ks, all great stuff. And definitely check out the Vinegar Syndrome partner labels. There are many, many of them, and they're all doing really interesting films. So go over to vinegarsyndrome.com, click on the partner labels tab up on the top, and see all the different things that are being done by non-Vinegar Syndrome labels that are equally intriguing. But that's it. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.